Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I want to talk about the Stockout Warning in Dynamics NAV or Dynamics 365 Business Central. So you could see the Stockout Warning on the item card. For some customers, they would like to be reminded if their inventory level is low and they're setting negative inventory. So you can turn on the Stockout Warning on the item card. But there's a global setting in the sales and the receivable. So if you go to the sales and the receivable, you also see the Stockout Warning. So this controls the Stockout Warning for all the items. If you enable this Stockout Warning on sales and the receivable setup, that will change the default on all the item card to be yes for Stockout Warning. So if you turn this off, then you go back to any item card, then you could see the default will be changed to no. So right now this Stockout Warning will say default no. Okay, you see default no. But if we turn it back, then you will see you go to any item, then it will change it to yes. Okay, so some customers find it's helpful to have the Stockout Warning because if they're setting negative inventory, then the system will pop up a smart notification to remind them the inventory level is low. So you could see I just turn on that Stockout Warning on the sales and receivable. Then I go to any item card, the Stockout Warning default change to yes. So actually you only have two options, yes or no. But the sales and receivable setup controls the global default for all the items. You can override that setting from the item card. So if for this specific item you want the Stockout Warning to be no, then you can select no. So this will override the global settings. So if you already override the global settings, even when you change in the sales and the receivable, you change Stockout Warning check mark, it will not affect this on the item card because on the item card, this is more specific. The more specific setting will override the more general setting. Okay, so let's just change this back to default yes. So what I want to say is like, but some customers they do not want to see the Stockout Warning because they find it is annoying, and they only want the system to pop up an error message if they do sell negative inventory. So if that's the case, you can turn off the Stockout Warning in the sales and the receivable setup, and then you can turn on. So on the item card, you also have this setting for prevent negative inventory. You can turn this on. So which controls this globally is on the inventory setup for prevent negative inventory. So the same on the inventory setup, you have this prevent negative inventory. When you turn this off, then on all the item card, the default becomes to no. So it will say prevent negative inventory, the default will change to no. When you turn that to on, then on the item card, that default will be changed to yes. So let's turn this on again. Then let's open item card, and to take a look of this prevent negative inventory, we'll say default yes. Okay, so that's a global setting. And the same as the Stockout Warning, you can override that global setting from the item card and to specify something different from that global setting on the inventory setup. Okay, so how the Stockout Warning is calculating the availability of the item, of the inventory. So let's take one item, let's find an item. I have some stock, for example, this item, and we can use this item as example. Let's see, I don't have the item tracking turned on. So I have in the inventory, I have 3 in the inventory, 3 of this item in the inventory, and you could see this open. The remaining quantity is 2, remaining quantity 1, and they're both in the blue location. And I do not have anything on purchase order, do not have anything on sales order. Okay, that's good. So for example, this item, I already have the Stockout Warning turned down and prevent inventory turned down. I will use this item as example to talk how the calculate inventory for stockout warning is calculated. So if you have something reserved for this item, and then it will take the reservation into consideration. Even so, right now I have inventory of 3, okay? And so if I'm setting 4, if I'm setting a quantity over 3, the system is supposed to give me a stockout warning. Let's take a look if that happens, okay? So I'm gonna create a sales item journal, and this blue location, so I'm setting 4. And the base unit measure on this item is pallet. So you see, I'm setting 4, and it's giving me this, the available inventory for this is lower, right? So if I change this to 3, there's nothing because I'm not setting over what I have in the inventory. Okay, that's good. So what I want to say is like this availability takes into the reservation. Also, consider your existing inventory also takes into reservation. So for example, I have 3 in inventory, but I have 1 reserved for on a sales order, okay? So I don't have any quantity on sales order right now, but we can quickly create something. And on the sales order, I want to make a reservation. So let's just change this to always. So then it will automatically reserve for me if I put this item on the sales order, okay? So let me create a sales order and quickly create a sales order for this item and add this item to the sales line and have it reserved. So now, but this on the top, this reservation is not for this item, it's for the customer overdue. So for this blue location, so I have 1, I want to have 1, but I want to reserve this, okay? So right now this is not automatically reserved, this quantity, but I want to have this quantity reserved. So I can go to the line functions and say reserve. Okay, and auto reserve. You can see reserve quantity now shows 1. And so now I have 1 reserved. So let's go back to this item journal. Because I have 1 reserved, what I'm saying, the stockout warning will take into consideration of the reserved quantity. I have 3 in inventory, but I have 1 reserved on the sales order. So actually what is available for me to sell is 2 instead of 3 now, right? Because the other one, there's 1 quantity has been reserved on the sales order. The availability takes into consideration of the reserved quantity for the stockout warning. So I'm gonna delete this line and gonna create another line for this item again. So let's say, because I only have 2 available, I have 3 in inventory, but 1 reserved, 2 available. So now if I enter 3, it will give me a warning. Remember, I don't have the warning when I enter 3 before I reserve that 1, right? So now you see I have this warning. So that's what I want to explain. This stockout warning takes into consideration of the reserve quantity. Another thing, it does not take into consideration of the purchase receipt. So for example, so right now I have 0 on the purchase order. If I create a purchase order for this item and I make a expected receipt date to be before the date I want to sell, then it will not consider that purchase order. Let's quickly create a purchase order. So it only consider your existing inventory and the reserved quantity. It does not consider any incoming receipt and those projected inventory. It does not consider those, okay? So test, so inventory. So let's put this item here and blue location. Let's say I will receive 10 of this, and the unit measure will be pallet, still as my base unit measure. Okay, and in the purchase header, you could see I did not fill in the expected receipt date, but I will put this in February the 2nd, 2022, okay? So this receipt date, and if we go back to that item and go to the item journal, remember on this purchase order, I have an expected receipt date of February the 2nd, 2022. And when I create my item journal, I'm gonna do, so you see this date, posting date, I'm using February the 3rd, which is 1 day after that expected receipt date. And I'm putting this item and for this location. So since I explained it will not consider the projected purchase receipt. So if I enter a quantity 2 or quantity 3, it will still give me the notification. Let's take a look. Yeah, you can see it still gives me the notification. It does not consider the quantity 10 on the purchase receipt, which is gonna receive before this this posting date for the sale. If you put 2, then it's fine, right? Because in the inventory I have 3, but I have 1 reserve on the sales line. Yeah, so that's what I want to explain, how the stock warning calculate the availability. And another thing is like, if you, as I said, if you don't want to receive that stock warning, you can turn it off. If it's only for a specific item, you can turn it off on the item card. If it's for all the item, you can turn it off from the sales and the receivable setup. So for example, I already turned this off. And then on this item, I have to click on OK to make sure that take effect. Then I'm gonna go into my item journal. Then I will do the same thing. I will create the same thing again. And the blue location, when I enter 3, remember I should have that stockout warning, but because I turned off the stockout warning, so I will not see it now. Okay, I do not see it now. Okay, but because I have the prevent negative inventory turned on, when you post this, because you don't have enough inventory, I have to, because the prevent negative inventory, I have to put it to 4. That may not consider, that only consider my existing inventory, may not consider the reservation. So you see, because I have 3 in inventory, the prevent negative inventory only consider your existing inventory, does not take into the reserve because that hasn't been posted yet. So then I have to, when I put 4, that prevent negative inventory will kick in. It tells you do not have sufficient inventory because your existing inventory is only 3. Okay, it will not allow you to post it. So if for customers who does not want to see the stockout warning, they can turn on prevent negative inventory to avoid shipping inventory not in the system. Okay, so another thing I want to talk about is like, so I talked about how you can change global setting and change the specific setting on item card for stockout warning and for prevent negative inventory. I talked about how the stockout warning is calculating the availability. It's only calculating the existing inventory minus the reserved quantity on the sales line. It's not taking into projected purchase receipt from the purchase orders. Even the expected receipt date can meet your posting date for the sales shipment. So it does not taking the projected purchase receipt into consideration. And also, there's another way, because this smart notification came in from Dynamics NAV 2017. Now you see you have all these my notification. If you don't want to see that notification at all, you can actually turn this off. Okay, item availability is low because that's that notification for the inventory. Actually, it's not the, when you see that notification, it's not just this. It's just a general name for this notification. It's not the detailed message which pop up for that stockout warning. That exact message you see in the pop-up is telling you like the inventory is lower. It's not exactly this message. It's kind of different. This is a general description, and you have that detailed message. But when you turn this off, actually it can turn off that stockout warning. So it will not. It does, regardless what you set up in the stockout warning. Regardless what you set up here, or what you set up even like let's say in the sales and the receivable setup, even I have this stockout warning enabled, And on the item, I have the Stockout Warning enabled. Okay, you have it enabled in both places. And then if I turn off that smart notification, then if you go to item journal and you're doing a sale, I'm gonna just recreate this again. Okay, still for this item, still for this location, put in 4, and you see after I enter it, there's no notification at all because that's a more global setting. You even disable that notification, so even you still have that Stockout Warning enabled. Since you disable that smart notification, it cannot display at all. Okay, so that's from here. This is for that message to display. So I just enabled it back again. And then if you take a look, if we still enter the same line for this as this, I'm just gonna delete this, and so that smart notification will come back. You see, the available inventory for item, this is lower than the entered or quantity at this location. So that item inventory is low, that my notification, that smart notification is controlling this notification in general. If you turn that, if you disable that, no matter how you set up this Stockout Warning, this notification will not display at all. Okay, so that's everything I want to share in this video. Hope it helps. Thank you so much for watching this YouTube video. I hope to see you guys again next time.